This is Kevin Pruitt with another episode of Rising Tide Startups, and my guest today is Lynn Podetti. Lynn, thanks for joining us on Rising Tide.
Thanks for having me here.
I've stalked Lynn on LinkedIn for a few weeks, and I begged her to come on, and she had to cancel 27 other engagements to book a slot on Rising Tide. So we're really grateful that you put us at the very top of the list.
That's so cute. So cute that you've been stalking me on that. Yeah.
In a
Good to
good
be
way.
here. Yeah. No,
In a
yeah.
good way. That's right. Share a little bit of your background, history, family with Rising Tide.
Yeah. So I'm currently a mother with 3 kids. So my 6-year-old and 4-year-old lives with me right now, and they're at home because of the coronavirus. So it can get really hectic trying to be a mother, looking after them, and then running a business from home. So I've always been running a business from home since 2009 was when I quit my corporate job. And with no background in business or internet marketing, anything, I just really self-taught myself and just took one day at a time, learning as much as I can and just saying yes to every opportunity. And because of my first idea of starting an e-commerce business, nail polish company, um, which wasn't, well, it was a company, but it was just in my apartment. I learned that I needed to get a website. I needed to know how to get SEO done and all these marketing terms I never heard of. And that's when I stumbled across outsourcing. Well, I think most people do outsource, but they don't know that they're actually outsourcing kind of thing. So if you're ever getting someone to do something, you're outsourcing. So I got just local people first, and I got ripped off, and it was expensive. And then I ended up with limited funds. I had to use offshore people. And that was my journey into offshoring and using overseas people, and made the same mistakes like everyone else, just picking the cheapest person and not knowing who to choose. But I fell in love with it. I think it's because I'm Vietnamese, coming from a developing country, moved here when I was 9. And when I deal with developing country people, I feel this connection with them. I want to give them a better life. And I understood that a lot of the miscommunication and challenges in working with them is not really just their fault. It's also the way that we don't know how to do things online remotely, giving right instructions. And so I got better at it. And then other companies and business owners that I met wanted advice around that area. Like, how do I actually get this thing done, that thing done? And that's when I started my agency a few years later. And then now I run Outsourcing Angel, which is an outsourcing recruitment business. So we're more of like recruiting you virtual staff so that you could work with them. And so that's what I'm busy with. And that business is also a social enterprise. We do a lot of charity work. Not only are we helping to create employment over there, we also reinvest into charity projects and free computer trainings and stuff for people.
Wow. Now that's incredible. We're going to unpack that later in the chat here, but it's interesting. I mean, you mentioned that I had a previous guest actually earlier this week that was talking about, she has 8 staff. She has 4 there in Australia and she has 4 in the Philippines. That were it's an accounting business that she's got, a bookkeeping service. But
yeah, I really think that if you can combine the power of local and overseas, you just have a very optimized business that everyone's doing the best part that brings the best return on investment, right? If you just, if you only do a local, then there are probably tasks in there that are mundane that they shouldn't be doing, wasting their time, making them feel unchallenged. But then if you just purely have overseas people, then you're going to have to be the one, I guess, liaising with them. But if you have a fortunate opportunity to afford local people as well, then you basically have someone that you can count on to just liaise with the team of overseas people. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's the perfect combination of like insourced and outsourced, labor force. And it really, I mean, she considers it her team. She talks about, in terms, my team is 8 people. It just happens to be 4 of them live here where I do, and 4 of them live overseas. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this now, but I want you to unpack it later. But I'm asking you now, so I won't forget to ask you later. But I'm curious about, when you think of outsourcing. I mean, India comes to mind, the Philippines come to mind as like the 2 big players in the market.
Yeah.
So what makes them so unique in the outsourcing space versus other countries, like, for instance, Vietnam or Laos or Cambodia or Myanmar or Thailand?
Yeah. So the number one thing is English. I haven't really dealt with a lot of Indian freelancers or Indian outsourcing, but
Hmm.
I find Philippines, number one is they are already equipped with an English language. They already learned it from young, and if anything, they sound so American, pure American.
It's kind of hard to
There
hide
is
that
no,
accent.
yeah, there's no accent, there's no Filipino accent, and so whereas when I work with Vietnamese people, the first challenge for me is their language. They actually struggle with it a lot more, and then with the Philippines also, they already been advanced in this outsourcing industry for so many
Yeah,
years.
that's a
They
good
know
point.
marketing so well. They're already ahead in that front. So then it's just easier for us to work with that than trying to get into a new country that has just more boundaries and more
Right.
challenges, more walls there. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, the way you've kind of explained why these two countries may be, really on the high end of, as
Hmm.
far as numbers that are being outsourced to those countries. But so you and I are going to step on an elevator. We're going to step on a lift and go up 10 floors. You've got a 1 minute window to kind of give me your elevator pitch of Outsourcing Angel. So give me your best business pitch.
Okay, cool. Now, if you're a business owner that you want freedom to spend time with your loved ones or do whatever you love in life, then we can help you build a virtual team. And this team is not only quality and reliable, but they are also a fraction of the cost. And together with your virtual team, you and even your local team, you're able to really grow your business, but most importantly, free yourself from working in your business. You get to work on your business.
So, ding, the door's open, and I just signed the contract. You've already
Yeah.
got me on the book. So, what's the biggest obstacle when you're talking to business owners? What is the biggest hurdle or the biggest obstacle that you have to get over to convince them that this service is right for their business?
Yeah. So I've already been working with them for so long that I know how great they are. And you can work virtually and you can still have a great company that is productive, that has a great culture, that has everything that a real company has in an offline company. But most people are fearful that they can't run a proper company unless it's next to a person, that they
Mm,
had to be local, that you had to see them, that you have to have it run in an office. And so I guess the blessing in disguise for us with the coronavirus is that now everyone's forced to work from home and
absolutely.
realize that, oh, it can actually work. And you're going to actually have to try to use these softwares like Zoom and Slack and Loom and all those things, which we already told them that it's fine, you can do it with these tools, but it's kind of like, if I don't have to, I'm not going to try. But now that they have, they are going to realize that it's not that hard. So our challenge before was more of, it's easier just to find someone local. Or the other challenge with the small business is it's easier to just do it myself. By the time I
Mm,
teach someone, and that's why a lot of small solopreneurs can't grow, because they're always thinking about keeping as much money as possible, but they're doing all the work. There's no point in having a business if you have no freedom. You wanted a business because you wanted freedom, so you got to jump off that and start delegating and outsourcing. But now for the more established businesses with with the ability to hire staff, they are thinking that I might as well pay someone local and more expensive
right.
because I feel like I need to see them and I need to, it won't be productive. But
Yeah.
now they're going to realize that no, you can do it all virtually, and then you can do it for a fraction of the cost.
I can just see your eyes light up as you're talking about this, because you're thinking, this is actually a very difficult thing for the entire world to go through. But on the
Hmm.
backside of this, there is real opportunity from a business
Hmm.
standpoint in companies, agencies, just like you have created. You're seeing that there's going to be a hugely increased demand on the backside of
Yeah.
this. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
More time for your family. There's no more traveling time, dropping things off, and I mean, going off to, yeah, dropping the kids off early so you can get rushed to work. And there's all these
yeah,
commuting time that you're
right.
gonna realize how easy it is. And you don't have to get changed. You can wear your pajamas all day. Don't have to brush your teeth, right? No one can smell you. Yeah.
Okay, you do have to brush your teeth. Even if you work at home, that your mom called and said you have to brush your teeth. So yeah, that's for
Yeah.
sure. You got to do that. But was a little concerned, when we first got on here, that you were not going to be energetic and enthusiastic. I I'm kidding.
I don't think. So I'm exactly like how you saw in the videos,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Like
I
just
thought I've got to get her on the podcast because she is lights up the screen when she talks. But yeah,
yeah. Thank you.
I just love the way that you are seeing this opportunity that's happening, and I mean, you have such vision for where you're headed, and it reminds me, I don't know if you're familiar with the book that's called The E-Myth. The whole purpose behind the E-Myth talks about how do you move from working in your business to on it. How do you
Yeah,
work on
exactly.
your business? And it was really what
Yep.
your vision, what you were outlining, as a solopreneur. If you do all the work, you're limited by your capacity, to do that
Yeah, yeah.
individually. And if you outsource this, if you hire staff, if you, delegate well and train well, then you can scale and,
Yeah,
grow a much
yeah.
larger business.
Yeah. One of my first ebook I ever wrote a long time ago was called To Be Rich, Be Lazy. And I actually got that quote from Robert Kiyosaki.
Uh-huh.
Robert Kiyosaki,
Yep.
he mentioned that on his
Rich
book.
Dad, Poor
And it's
Dad.
really about like, how do you get rich, but just do the least things as possible. Try to just get other people to do the work for you, or, it's either outsourcing or hiring people or collaborating with people. So I'm always thinking, how do I do things the most simplest, easiest way without doing a lot of hard work? And so that's why I would rather invest in resource than try to do everything myself.
You were talking a little bit. I asked you the question about like what's the biggest obstacle for business owners to kind of catch a vision of outsourcing. Do you think it's very similar to the obstacle that employers have with going to a remote workforce as a whole? I mean, it seems like it's a very similar issue that they can't have that vision. They want people, in their brick and mortar offices. They want them in their cubicles. They don't want them working at home in their pajamas, not brushing their teeth.
Yeah.
They want them so they can keep
Yeah.
an eye on
Yeah.
them because they don't think they're going to be productive. I mean, is it virtually the same
Yeah.
problem?
Yeah, it's just limiting beliefs and not being open-minded to how, there are companies that make it work. So why not look for those examples
Hmm.
and see how you could have done it versus trying to be comfortable and being stuck to where you are.
Right.
And so really this is the time that they go, well, they're forced to get out of their comfort zone
Yep.
and see that this isn't the thing that can work, but it's already worked for a lot of people.
Yep.
Same as with solopreneurs wanting to grow. Instead of saying I can only I can do best and no one else can do it like me, well, why don't you look at the people that have already grown and have
Mm.
staff? Now, if you want to be in their position, you've got to do what they do. Same as with company now owners who has office-based things. Yeah, so you basically just need to look at your life and what you want. You want freedom. You want to be able to travel anywhere and work anywhere. Well, then you got to get on remote working. And for a long time, people want that, but they weren't willing to do what it takes to get there.
Yep.
And now this has allowed them to do that. And that means it's good for them. They're going to be able to have a laptop business.
Right. I have a theory that it's not just on the employer side of things, it's also on the employee side of things. So you've given an entire global workforce a taste of being able to work remotely. And many of them,
Mm-hmm.
I think, will really like it, and they'll
Yeah.
want to continue, and they'll be watching your videos online about how to start an online business, and they're going to figure out how to outsource things, and so
Yeah.
your YouTube viewership should increase over this time that everybody's home looking, Googling stuff
Yeah.
online to view. But I think that employers are going to struggle, even if they're successfully navigating this, they're going to struggle of retaining, their best people if they don't
Mm-hmm.
offer them a more flexible work environment. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. And because we've been working with remote teams for a long time, we know that we want to retain them just like if you're working with local people. And how do
Yeah.
we do that? We just need to still be able to communicate, treat them well, reward them. It applies to the same thing. And rather than micromanaging, just like in real life, you don't want to be micromanaging, looking over their shoulder. Or same as online, you don't want to be micromanaging and making them have meetings with you every second, but it's about using the right tools and process to manage those tasks. So putting into project systems, and then setting expectations so that you have that communication and that trust, so that people feel like they can be trusted, and they will work longer with you.
Right. I could not agree more. I think that it's, we will never go back to the way things were at the first of this year. I don't think we'll ever return to that working environment. I think we are forever changed. I think the global business climate has changed, as a result of this crisis. But speaking of, I would like to drill down just a little bit about your business, and if you were speaking to like business owners that were thinking about, how can I kind of navigate through this difficulty? What are 2 or 3 things that you would advise them to really help them kind of make it through this pandemic crisis that we're facing and come out the other side?
Yeah. So for us, we really had to review our current services and see if it's a match to what the current market wants. So although we offer part-time and full-time service of VAs, we realize that maybe a lot of the clients are going to need to have less hours than that, less and more flexible options. So we really needed to be innovative and come up with some temporary solutions that they could be able to still outsource and get things done. And so it's really about adapting to the new market's needs, and then rearranging your team to make sure that they're doing the right roles that will bring the best income for you. So right now we have like 9 different people doing sales, helping the sales side of things rather than doing what they normally do. They're actually all hands on deck doing sales. And then really keeping the team positive. So as a leader, you need to constantly communicate, updating them where you're at with your actions and steps, so that they know that the leader is working hard and trying different things. And so they feel assured, and then they will still put in the effort. And it's really about having short-term plan. Every week you execute a plan, and every week is going to be a bit different, but be really quick at adapting to the changes, and no time to kind of waste. It's the first decision is, are you going to fight or are you going to fly? So that's already important, because if you're going to fight, then you will do what it takes. But if you choose to kind of, I don't know, and you're choosing the flight mode, you're already going to take the actions of trying to cut down teams and trying to cut things and trying to whatever. Whereas my attitude was, no, we're going to fight till we can't fight no more. That means that I'm only going to think of solutions to keep it going, trying this service, trying that service, trying to reach people on LinkedIn, trying to reach people from email. So there's just being resourceful is, as in you can never run out of ideas if you decide to fight. Yeah.
Wow. What a masterclass there in just about 4 minutes. I mean, she outlined, this is your survival strategy for the next, 12 to 18 months. That you've got to plan on this as a business owner. These are the things that you really need to go. And I really love the idea, because, I've talked to a number of business owners, number of founders in the last, 2 or 3 weeks. And so many of them are saying, this is the time to really review, what you're doing, because it's a little bit of a lag. I mean, in some ways it's a little bit of a, some downtime. So you really need to review your products and services. But I one thing that they didn't necessarily say was, what's the next step that you talked about? It's like, so determine what's still valid, keep that. If it's not valid, get rid of it. But I love that short-term planning versus long-term planning right now. I mean, everything is like micro. It's like so quick. I mean, your business plan is about 72 hours long right now. It's not 36 months long, it's it's written on a bar napkin. It's not written, it's not typed in a spreadsheet somewhere. So I'd love the way that you unpack that, just that whole thing. So what have you seen? I mean, it's pretty short runway here, but what have you seen? What impact has this had on your business specifically?
We definitely have started to see our clients being affected. So that means that they either had to cancel or they had to downgrade to something a bit smaller package. But thank God for our kind of service where they have their own VA, which is like their family. So
Yeah.
the last thing they really wanted to do was to cancel. So they
Right.
are trying to hold on to as much as they can, because they do see that this is a temporary thing. So we do have a lot of clients that are like sticking it through, which is
Yeah.
really great. But it really meant that we had to reach out to even clients that aren't canceling or calling up to downgrade. We actually called them up and to let them know that, hey, we know what's happening. If you are thinking about what to do, or here are some extra options for you. And they've actually been really appreciative of that and said, well, thank you. I wasn't thinking about doing anything yet, but at least I know that I have these other options. So we've thought of these options for them already, and they felt really safe. So, or feel like they've been cared, like one weight off their shoulder. And then also our VAs feel comfortable knowing that, oh, you've spoken to my client and their intention is still the same, or they might consider this or that. At least people aren't in limbo. People aren't going, well, what do I do? And so connecting with your clients and being able to, lend a helping hand, even if they don't think they need it yet. And having that feel. And I really think that right now, even our goal isn't to make the most sale. Our goal right now is to show the most care, to show them that no matter what happens, we're still that loving company, so that when we ride through this, people will remember how we've treated them, or tell people how we have been as a company together. So it's not really about let's make the most sale. It's being on the front mind as that caring company that will always be there should you need us.
So, somebody in the higher end of government in Australia is going to watch this video, and they're going to go, she needs to be our new Minister of Commerce. She needs to, we need to have this kind of vision leading our business industry in Australia. I mean, I've interviewed a number of people about this very thing, and not one of them has mentioned what you just mentioned, this idea of proactively offering alternatives even before the client asked. I mean, what it's really forward thinking in my mind to do that, because you almost like remove the chance that they're going to cancel unless they are just in absolute dire straits. I mean, you really, your retention has to go up exponentially.
Yeah, and overall, like if you're not adding value, they're going to think of canceling anyway. If you have been giving value, then there's no reason for them to have to go unless they really have to. And so they actually and you just free them from all this stress of thinking what solution. And so it's actually worked the opposite for us. At first we were worried that maybe they might have an idea of canceling, but then we're thinking, well, anyway, we did what we did, and the opposite effect has happened in a sense that they the ones that wanted to cancel were going to cancel anyway. They had to, and the ones that didn't just said thank you.
And even if they kind of downgrade their service temporarily, you still have them. I mean, the cost of acquiring a customer is, you've alleviated that cost because you've retained one. It's cheaper to keep one than to get a new one.
Exactly right.
I mean, that is really, really key, I think. This is, man, I could just keep asking you questions all day long, but I mean, you have given so much, value in such a short period of time here. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you really want to kind of close us out with, that you think is, really crucial, whether it's for this time or just, a word of advice for business owners, something you've learned that, in your years of running a business? Just, this is your time to, kind of close this out here, and then tell people where to find you online.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I really think that every challenge gives us opportunity, and I've seen so many challenges throughout my life. Sorry, you can hear my kids right now.
That's
They're like talking.
That's ambiance. That's right. This is real, folks. We're working at home.
This is the trouble, and but thrive on challenge. Actually look at challenge as an opportunity, because I am a living example of going through so many challenges as a kid till I had a business, and multiple challenges every year. And it always passes. It always gets better. Actually, the pattern has always been really down, and it gets worse before it gets better. But then if you just stick it through and never give up, you're definitely going to see it succeed. So please stick in there and be positive. And even if you can't do it for yourself, do it for others. Be the inspiration to others. So the kids are starting to scream.
That's all right. What a way to wrap us up. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there, and at least you can read all my business profiles. But if you have time, Google me up, and I'm everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, even TikTok. Recently, this week I joined TikTok. So there.
Got it all. Well, it's outsourcingangel.com.au is our website as well. Like I said,
Yeah.
she's very active on LinkedIn, and not just active. I mean, not just her profile, but I mean, she engages with other people on LinkedIn as well, and encourages other business owners and founders, and really just kind of exhibits what we're trying to do with our podcast here, and that's really just playing your part in helping all boats rise in a rising tide. Thanks a lot, Lynn.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much, Kevin.
Been good.
Bye. Bye.